thank you, Chairman Takano and Ranking Member Rowe, and the members of this committee for the opportunity to speak on the issues affecting approximately 8,800 veterans in my district of the U.S. Virgin Islands. That's 8,800 veterans out of a population of 105,000. That's a tremendous percentage of individuals in the Virgin Islands who have served this country and live as veterans there. I appreciate the continued support with the intention to host a congressional delegation to the U.S. Virgin Islands. Although members were unable to attend, Democratic Staff Director Megan Bland visited the territory to assess the Veterans Affairs Administration's efforts in emergency preparedness, outreach strategies, the implementation of the Community Care Network, and connecting civilians to much-needed VA resources. As a result of this visit, I believe the staff was left with the impression that veterans of the U.S. Virgin Islands have little to no access to VA health care. They identified the lack of access to immediate assistance following a disaster, understaffing and mismanagement of the local VA clinics, and the treatment of veterans under a contract that is now nullified. The Virgin Islands currently houses 2 VA clinics, one on St. Thomas and one on St. Croix, with no VA hospital. Although the Choice program is available to Virgin Islands, some doctors are hesitant to participate due to delayed payments and being in a small market. This further exacerbates the issue of having only a small number of medical specialists capable of providing necessary service. In one case, a veteran required a heart specialist, but because only one was working in the territory, the veteran had to wait 2 months for an appointment. This is unacceptable. Community providers that treat veterans in the Virgin Islands are still operating under choice contracts and were subject to funding that expired in June 6, 2019. As of July 21, 2019, the VA had performed no outreach to community providers within the U.S. Virgin Islands regarding community care networks under the Mission Act. This means that providers are treating veterans under contracts that were nullified in June of this year. It is discouraging that the Caribbean healthcare system and the VA central office failed to inform, educate, and enroll these providers in the new community care network created by Mission Act. As a result of these limited resources, many veterans must communicate with and travel to the VA hospital in Puerto Rico, which leads to several major issues. First, veterans in some cases must pay upfront for airfare and hotel stay in Puerto Rico due to appointment times and limited airline schedules. There's a hardship when they must bring a companion. Second, communication barriers sometimes or often emerge because of significantly differing dialects as well as language barriers. Third, numerous veterans have mentioned that they feel disadvantaged and prejudiced when acting with the VA hospital in Puerto Rico due to race and residency. Many Virgin Islands veterans have stories of abuse and mistreatment that are, in most cases, hard to prove and thus seldom recorded. Virgin Island veterans also complain that they must exert unnecessary effort to prove that their disabilities are service-related in order to receive the benefits that they deserve and those benefits which are given to other veterans living on the mainland. Vietnam-era veterans have expressed concern still to this day about their burden of proof that post-traumatic stress disorder and exposure to Agent Orange are results of their military service. Despite the VA's recent efforts to revisit this issue, many veterans and their families believe that too little has changed and that these new efforts are inadequate for a population that place their lives on the line for their country. All American veterans deserve a commitment from their country and government that proper health care will be provided regardless of geographic location. As the hospitals in the Virgin Islands are reconstructed following the destructions of Hurricanes Irma and Maria, I request that the Department of Veterans Affairs and the House and Senate Veterans Affairs Committees consider funding a new component of the hospital system dedicated to veterans and capable of accommodating more severe health care needs than the clinics alone can provide, with actual contingency plans unlike the one planned for Hurricane Dorian. Because the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs reports enrolled veterans of the U.S. Virgin Islands of part of the Caribbean healthcare system, which also includes Puerto Rico, it is difficult to easily attain the population of veterans enrolled in the VHA that reside in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Because of the funding structure of VHA facilities, it is critical that enrollment in the VA reflect the overall population of veterans within the community. The lack of VHA care options on the various islands negate the incentives that stateside veterans may have to enroll in free or cost-reduced health care. As a result, VA and local leaders should better promote enrollment within the VHA for veterans in the U.S. Virgin Islands. There are a myriad of VSO posts, clinics, and outreach opportunities that the VA should be better capitalized on as well. Thank you for your consideration, and I encourage you to increase the federal commitment to the embattled veterans of the U.S. Virgin Islands. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Plaskett.